Ryan Wilson here, and I'm a Dewey Pod Monster super fan. A podcast about consumption, great movies, terrible movies, beer and music. So join Sean and John every week as they unleash that dew upon you. And remember, kids, if it doesn't say Dewey, don't do it. Brought to you by the You Run Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pizza Bones. I am Greg.
I'm Kate.
And I am Nate.
And we are proud members of the You Run Podcast Network,
where you can find our show and all the other members' great shows
at yourunpodcast.com.
Go check those out. All right, on tonight's show, we got the whole crew back. Plus, we are joined by a very special guest, fellow You Run Podcast member, co-host, friend, the man, Justin Skoviak. Justin, what's good?
Woo-hoo!
Yay!
Hey, all. I am so happy to be here for a multitude of reasons, mainly because I just love talking to the three of you, but I cannot believe I'm actually having the opportunity to cover something in the true crime world, because I've told the story before. When I got into listening to podcasts as a podcast fan, it was pro wrestling and true crime. That was it. It was not pop culture, folks. It was not movies. It was none of that shit. It was pro wrestling and true crime. So to come full circle, and not only come full circle with true crime and actually get to talk about one on a podcast episode, but to do it here on You Can Eat That Crust, fucking quite the privilege. Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely. Well, obviously, we were talking off air about having you come back for another missing persons episode, because that's what this one is. But speaking of wrestling and true crime, we should definitely have you come back on and do Chris Benoit. That would be a wild ride.
It would be a wild ride, and yes, if you want to merge pro wrestling and true crime, that's probably one that you would point to that I think a lot of people would be interested in hearing about. It's pretty fucked up. It would be rough to go through some of those details, but certainly is one that probably should be covered.
Yes, absolutely. And tonight we are covering Maura Murray, and it's a pretty crazy case that Justin brought to our attention. You want to tell us how and why you are interested in this case?
I have been haunted and fascinated by this case for, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 years. I think that was the first time I really came to it and recognized it as a case. I don't remember hearing about it when it happened. I don't think I was really big into social media at that time, so it really wasn't on my radar. But once I started consuming podcasts, I think that's when I first discovered it, which would have been probably in like 2014 or something like that. And I remember reading on it and hearing about this, and there's something about it that like grabbed my attention immediately. I think to unpack that, the area of true crime that's always been the most fascinating to me is anything with a mystery. So a lot of these like true crime stuff that you guys have covered, whether it's serial killers or whatnot, or, you know, murders or whatever, a lot of times those are either solved or we have some details. There's not as much mystery to them, right? With these cases, you know, disappearances of individuals, missing persons cases, stuff like this, where we really never got answers, your mind can go all over the map. Like it's something that can stick with you for a long, long time. You can have that too with a murder case where they haven't solved it. You know, unsolved cases in general, I think, can be very intriguing while still haunting and sad as well, which this case is, and we'll get into that. But there's one thing I want to say before we get into this, a reason why this thing has just stayed with me so long and why I had to ask you guys about covering it. So first of all, it's a multi-layered mystery, okay? It's not just girl disappears. There's a lot of mystery like leading up to the event and everything, which we'll get into, which also makes it so fascinating. But there's this thing too. So my wife was born the same year as Maura Murray. And also, my wife and I started dating the year before Maura went missing. So for me, I have like this personal barometer to what this time frame is that she's been missing, because I know, being with my wife for 23 years, I know how long that is. I know what that feels like. I know the distance there. And for that reason, it's heartbreaking for this girl and for her loved ones. So to be able to put it in perspective about how long this has truly been, it really just fucking hurts me and haunts me. And that's why I can't get this case out of my mind. So again, I know you guys have a lot of fun with this show, and I'm not trying to bring anybody down. But what I'm saying is this case means a lot to me, and I'm very fascinated, and I can't wait to talk about all the theories and everything about this.
That's awesome. Wow.
Mm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it puts a whole new spin on it, doesn't it?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, being a true crime fan, I had never heard of this case. Apparently, it kind of popped off around the same time Facebook was like really popping off.
Yep.
Because it was a huge, huge story on Facebook, and all these internet sleuths and all these people were throwing their opinions out there. Some wacky, some, credible, I guess. And, of course, we're going to get into that. And before we get into that, I'm going to get a little bit into her past life.
So Greg, you didn't know about this case before, really?
No, nope.
See, Greg and I are from New Hampshire.
I was going to say, the fascinating thing for me is y'all are from New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Essentially, this takes place, the incident takes place
Yeah.
almost in your backyard. So it's wild
Right.
to me that you guys never heard of it before.
So I've been aware of this case since the beginning.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that, Nate.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because it's such a wild case. And every theory that gets thrown out, it's like there's a little hint of truth in each part, and you're like, it can just go in so many different directions. So it's quite the story. It's tragic, but it's very interesting.
Yes.
So
I
think
thought you all would have heard, yeah, because I wasn't surprised that I hadn't heard of it because I'm on the other side of the world. But
that makes sense.
yeah, I have an excuse, Greg.
Well, you know what?
Just kidding.
Greg's
I
on
was
the
upside
other
down
side
the
of
whole time.
See, this is more on the Vermont side of it, and Greg's more on the Maine side of it. So
It is good to be doing a case like this, though. I think it's a really important one to keep alive and to talk about.
Yeah.
And
for
and
sure.
because it is a victim-centric episode, it's a victim-centric case. We're not talking about the perpetrator, so it forces us to pivot a little bit and focus on that element of it. It's going to be a really interesting conversation, and hopefully it brings more awareness to the case.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, it's the anniversary of it. It happened on the 9th of February, and here we are bringing it in. So
I have a feeling Pizza Bones is going to solve this case. We're going to get it done.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? God, I
Oh,
hope
man,
that
that'd be
the-
awesome. This little true crime podcast, Pizza Bones, really nailed it.
Yeah, the little podcast that could.
All right, well, let's get into the early life of Maura Murray. So she was born May 4th, 1982, and she was born in Brockton, Massachusetts,
Brockton.
and raised in Hanson, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Massachusetts. She was the youngest daughter of Fred and Laura Murray, growing up in a working class family before her parents divorced when she was 6. She has sisters Julie, Kathleen, and brother Kurt. And so for her education, she attended Whitman Hanson Regional High School, where she was a star athlete and an honor society member. Initially, she attended the United States Military Academy at West Point for 3 semesters before transferring to the University of Massachusetts Amherst to study nursing. She followed her older sister Julie into running, becoming a star athlete in cross country, track, and basketball. She was a member of the National Honor Society and known for her academic achievements. When she attended West Point for 3 semesters, she specialized in chemical engineering before deciding it was not the right fit, and she transferred over to nursing, where she went to the University of Massachusetts in Amherst to study nursing, a field better suited for her, according to family accounts. Nate, you want to tell us a little bit more about leading up to and the incident that we're about to talk about?
So Thursday, February 5th, Maura was at work. She's like a security person for dorms, right? So she checks in all the students. And she gets a phone call at around 10:30. And her supervisor walks in and just found her just staring off into space. And she's like, "Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And all she said was, "My sister." Being distraught, the supervisor walked her back to her dorm room. So she spent the rest of the night in her dorm room. So the context there, her sister Kathleen just got released from rehab. And so one of the stories that is told is when her boyfriend picked up Kathleen from rehab, they went right to the liquor store. So there's a relapse angle
As
to
one
this.
does.
So that could, maybe that's a possibility of why she's distraught.
Yep.
Don't know. Same time frame, there's a hit and run that occurs on campus that night. Maybe she's involved. Maybe she's not. I don't know. I'm not Maura. But anyways, so Saturday, her father comes up to visit her. So she's driving an old Saturn, which is in terrible condition. And so her dad's like, "All right, let's get you a new car." So he came up to go used car shopping with her. He had $4,000 with him in cash to do this. So they spent the day looking at cars, and then that night they went to dinner with their friend Kate. Not this Kate, another Kate.
You said you didn't know about the case.
Yeah.
I lied. Yeah. Oh, I wish it was me because then I might have more insight and help these
You're
people
right. We are
find
going to
their...
solve it. Here we go. So anyways, they go out to dinner with Kate and her dad, and they're drinking or whatever. They end up dropping the dad off at a hotel, and then Kate and Maura go off to a party, continue drinking, whatever. That night, around 3:30, she crashes her car into a guardrail in Hadley, Mass. Police responded. She was not ticketed. She was not arrested, but they did have to tow the car back. So they towed the car back to the hotel, and she went back to the hotel. Also gets a little weird because it's like she can't get into his hotel room right away. She sleeps in the lobby of the hotel, and then eventually ends up in her dad's room. So this event kind of gets a little hazy, but that's kind of that one. Sunday, she starts planning a trip. So forensic evidence is showing that she's on her computer and she's searching for directions to Burlington, Vermont, the White Mountains in New Hampshire. She also called a condominium association in Bartlett, New Hampshire, which her family would stay at in the past. So that was Sunday. Monday at 1:24 p.m., she emails her professor and work supervisor claiming there's a death in the family, and stated she'll be away for a week. The family has confirmed there's no deaths, so don't know what that's all about.
It was the death of her sister's sobriety.
Ah, that's right. Kate could have told us that. 2:00, she called a fellow nursing student and mentioned the family emergency. 3:30, she packed up her car with textbooks, nursing uniforms, and clothes, left her dorm room looking packed up, quote unquote. I have a hard time on that one because I've heard both ways. I've heard, she didn't unpack from coming from West Point, and then the other side of it is like they're trying to say that she's packing up to flee. So you can read into that what you will, but there's no real, time frame. I can see it being you've never unpacked, but
Yeah.
that's me. So 3:40 p.m. she withdraws $280 from an ATM, and you can see her on security footage, and that is the last images seen of her. She was alone at the time, apparently. 4:00, she purchased $40 worth of alcohol, Bailey's, Kahlua vodka, and boxed wine at a local liquor store. 4:37, she checked her voicemail for the last time. Dun, dun, dun.
Before you go further, Nate, I don't think you mentioned, but did did any of you read about the email she sent to her boyfriend at the time? I think it was this morning?
Yes.
I didn't get into it on this.
Okay.
If you want to touch on that, go for it, because I don't have it in my...
I have it somewhere in another note. We can go to it later. I just wanted to make sure we talk.
Many theories that will kind of intertwine. So
okay. So
right now I'm just going to try to hit like the police log type stuff.
Sure. Yep.
Where it's more vindicated, but
yes.
Again, this case gets so open that it's hard. It was even hard to make notes on this because it goes so many different directions. So anyways, at 7:27, Faith Westman The local resident called 911 after seeing the Saturn off the road on Route 112, I'm sorry. She sees it from her kitchen window, and she sees her car up against the snowbank. She was the first one to call 911. She also claims that there was a man smoking a cigarette in the car. We can touch on that after as well, but the initial report is a man smoking a cigarette. And then you have Virginia and John. Do you know what his last name is? Merritt?
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
They live on across the street as well on another property, and they observed the same thing. They claim they saw reverse lights, and that someone was trying to maneuver the vehicle out of a snowbank, and they also noted activity at the trunk of the car.
Mhm.
So there's that. At 7:30, school bus driver Butch Atwood stops to help. He reports that Maura was shaken up but declined help, claiming that she had already called AAA, even though there's no cell phone service up there.
No cell phone service.
No cell phone service. A weird thing here, though, is he also didn't recognize Maura in a photo lineup when initially confronted. So I keep that in mind. 7:46, the police arrive on the scene. The car was locked and the driver was gone. So that's kind of the basic overview of the night. But we can get deeper. I mean, there's witness A. There's
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of different things and different theories we can kind of spin off of from here. So I don't know if Kate wants to go and give some info, and then we can dive into different theories and directions, or whatever you guys want to do.
The only thing I wanted to kind of add to that section about her room being unpacked or not unpacked, my main source of information for this was actually a podcast done by her sister Julie.
Mhm.
So the family's opinion on that, knowing her and having seen the room or pictures of the room previous, is that she wasn't unpacked. That not that she was packing to leave, but that she was in the process of unpacking, and she was more unpacked on the day she left than she had been like a week or so previously.
Right.
And I think the family were very keen for people to, because I do get the feeling, and I have a bit to say about the police in this matter, and I don't want to affect anything for the family by, I'm more about the police at the time, not the ones now, which I think are actually being more helpful. But
yeah,
I think the police were looking for a way to write it off as, oh, it's this or it's that. And it's like, oh, well, she packed, she's left intentionally, when the family are like, no, she was unpacking. She planned to come back.
And if we could expand on that real quick, I don't remember the timeline, but she had only transferred to UMass, within 2 months of this incident?
It was a short time.
Yeah, so I think we all know a 21-year-old typically with a lot going on in their life, between working the job, going to school, family stuff, long-distance boyfriend, like I could see it being very likely that she had not unpacked yet.
Oh, I know what I'm like with unpacking. Yeah.
We didn't really touch on the fact that she didn't leave West Point for no reason. She was caught shoplifting.
Right.
And got caught using other people's credit cards. So she wasn't forced out, so she voluntarily exited the school, but she was going to be kicked out of West Point. Mm-hmm. So she had that weighing on her anyway. So there's another factor of, not unpacking or whatever. Right. A lot going on in her world at that time. So
now, they found like small amounts of alcohol in the Diet Coke as well too in her car, right?
Which crash?
In this crash.
The incident prior to her disappearance, you're talking?
Yes.
Yeah, there was like wine in it as well. Yeah.
What I read and what I heard is there was an open box of wine, and then there was like red stains across the ceiling of the vehicle, on the door panel. Yep. And yes, I think they found a trace amount in a Diet Coke bottle.
Diet Coke or Cherry Coke or something like that.
Yeah, one of those. So I think all those signs kind of point to her possibly drinking on the trip, is my assumption.
Yeah, I think when she was driving, the guy who was smoking the cigarette was doing wine stands.
Probably.
In the passenger.
When they opened the box of wine, it
is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I saw a picture. There was red all over the base of where your feet go near the pedals.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that was tested or not, I'm not sure. So it is red. I mean,
Does
I
make you
hope.
wonder, too, if
I
they
hope the
tested.
police tested it and confirmed it was wine, but the police at the time, it's
Doesn't feel
almost it's got a Chief Wiggum type of energy about it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not to make light of it, they literally sound completely incompetent, some of them. So I'm not certain it was even tested.
Well, here on the Pizza Bones podcast, here we know all about unreliable cops and cops who don't take their job super seriously and just try to get it done, write it off, or get some answers quickly. Now, I also heard that after the neighbors saw her, it was like a 7-minute span, and then she was gone, which is wild because that's not a lot of time at all. Like 7 minutes goes by fast.
Yeah.
I guess depending on what our theories are, 7 minutes isn't, or 7 minutes is a lot of time depending on what your theory is, but obviously we'll get to that.
Right.
That's a couple Nicolas Cage movies, a couple 160 seconds, like 7 of them.
Yeah, and this is February, 7 o'clock at night, so it's dark, it's cold, the snow.
That's the thing I think that you can't forget about. This is a desolate road. Like, this is not very rural. I mean, this is beyond rural. You mentioned it earlier. There's no phone service here. Right. They're surrounded by dense forest, so you can't see shit. I don't care how good your outside lights are, you can't see shit.
Right. And she's in a Saturn, so you know those lights were bad.
Exactly.
A shitty Saturn. She couldn't see anything.
Head into the White Mountains. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's dark out there.
It adds a real eeriness to it, and it seems like some people had a vantage point from whatever distance, but they all seem to not be watching at the time that something happened, and that's very, very unfortunate.
Right.
I mean, there's so many theories, like, flying around. It's like, did she run off? Is she still alive today? Did somebody abduct her? Like, I know a lot of the locals think that she got abducted.
Mm-hmm. By aliens?
No, not by aliens.
It's funny, you don't hear that one much, but I'm sure there are a circle of people that are probably leaning towards that too.
There is an alien theory because you're so close to Lincoln. So Lincoln was the first abduction reported, the Barney and Betty abduction, alien abduction.
Ah, yes, good point.
In the 30s or something.
Yeah.
That's 35 or 40 minutes away from this site. So there always has been connection there.
Right.
Not quite where I'm headed with it, but
So you talked about everything leading up. So I said earlier, this is a multi-layered mystery because obviously the main mystery is what happened to Maura Murray, right?
Yep.
But the other mystery, and there's actually little mysteries wrapped into this other mystery, is where she was going, why she was going there, and what was up with the behavior that transpired the morning of this incident when she left. Because there's a lot of things there that are either strange behavior, confusing. There's like a lot of stuff there. So can we start here?
Yeah, let's unpack some of that.
Yeah, let's unpack something real quick. So Nate talked about some of the, I don't even know what we want to call it, but some of the turmoil that was going on for her, right? So if you start at West Point, right? Nate talked about stolen credit cards, stuff like that, right? So again, without really going into her background and her history, I mean, from all accounts I can see, she was a good student, very competitive, great athlete. So a girl that she had very good grade point average and everything, I believe, from what I read about her.
Right.
So everything seemed to be going good for her. She had a good head on her shoulders, a good student, but it almost seems like sometime in the fall of 2003, whether she was spiraling a little bit or experimenting a little bit or cutting loose, I'm not sure what it is, but do we have any thoughts on, like, if there's any connection to some of the activities she was involved in fall of 2003 all the way up until February 9th with some of the stuff like driving under the influence, car accidents, stealing, stuff like that? Do you guys have any thoughts on any of that?
Well, I know she had issues with her boyfriend, and I've heard from a lot of people that her boyfriend was kind of misogynistic, potentially abusive, and I know they split up like right around the time before all this stuff happened. So she could have been running from that. She could have been triggered from that. Like, that stuff can change a person, and they can kind of go into a downward spiral just like that. Like, you could take a normal person and they go through something that traumatic and it just fucks them all up.
Mm-hmm. The boyfriend was confirmed to be in Oklahoma.
Yeah, he was 7,000 miles away. Or something like that.
and he's in like the army. So
1,700.
Pretty
1,700. Yes.
pretty solid alibi
that's
for
close.
him for that one. But yeah, totally. It could definitely mess with their mental state.
Well, and I'm thinking if there's already relationship problems, a long distance relationship can be tricky anyhow and can be complicated. Right. So I think that only maybe amplifies the issues, but I'm not sure.
Right. Makes sense.
What's your thoughts, Kate?
So based on discussions from her sister and friends of hers from school, from college, university, college, whichever one it was, at that time she was having some issues with, the minor theft where she stole some cosmetics from a shop. She was caught immediately. She was also having some issues with disordered eating, which is not uncommon for people that age, especially females. And also, particularly with high achievers, I think they often can spiral into that, experimentation or pushing the limits. There's definite studies being done on people who, steal, and often it's not because they need to steal. And keeping in mind too, at the age of 21, your frontal lobe hasn't finished developing yet. I think that's like the mid-20s. We do some reckless, stupid shit when we're in our early 20s. I think we've all done things that we think, gee, that was not wise. And I think when you're a high achiever and you are under pressure, or you feel that you've let people down, because I'm going to talk about her dad, Fred, down the track, but I adore this man. I think he is the epitome of girl dad. What an amazing person. He was very gentle and very supportive. She had a supportive family, but I think that she put so much pressure on herself to be perfect. It wasn't from outside sources. I don't think it was internal, and that is pretty common with high achievers. So I think that she had a couple of stumbles, and it turned into a full-blown fall kind of for a while there. And yeah, it's really sad, but I think it's everything that she was experiencing is stuff that most 21-year-olds probably go through to an extent,
Yeah.
And just to clarify a little bit too, because if you're just hearing what we're saying, she actually only stole about $5 worth of makeup. And the credit card thing, apparently it was known that a lot of people were using those credit cards. So when you really dive deeper into it, it's not a huge thing. Right. But when you first, you say it and you can speculate based on those accusations, you can definitely go running with theories. And that's basically how this case ends up going anyway.
I think she was using the credit card to order food to be delivered to her.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Because she was, I think because there's shame that comes with disordered eating, and it's a real sticky mess for her. So it's all you're right. When you look deeper into it, it's much less bad sounding. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like it's a lot of stuff that just continue to pile on. And maybe it was the phone call with her sister that, drove her over the edge. With whatever happened, we obviously don't know what happened. But like I said, the sister is coming out of rehab, and all of a sudden that's going to be traumatic for the family, for anybody.
I think the boyfriend took her, the boyfriend who was like quite coercive and controlling, took her to that's bastard.
And I've heard a lot of bad things about the boyfriend, but a lot of the stuff I've heard that is negative was from the author James Renner. And I don't know if you guys know much about James Renner.
I might have some thoughts on him in a little bit, but I won't go there just yet. But,
there's a few different things.
Yeah, but another thing I wanted to expand on a little bit. So Nate talked about the phone call with her sister, Kathleen, as Greg was just describing as well. So obviously this is part of everything that's leading up to her trip, right? To the day, to the incident. And so we talked about some of the stuff going on with her. And then there's these two things, like Greg, you said, like maybe that was like the last straw where she just needed to get away for a bit, right? And I think we'll get into that. But I wanted to say so you have the guilt that's on her conscience about wrecking her dad's car. Because I think I read and heard it was like 10 grand worth of damage, which is pretty significant when you think about just sideswiping a guardrail or whatever it was.
He just got that car too.
20 years ago too.
Yeah, I say especially 20 years ago.
Right. So that's pretty substantial. That's pretty significant. So I know from what I've read about her and the relationship she had with her dad, like Kate described, I'm sure this really beat her up big time because of the shame she must have felt. And from all accounts, it seemed like she was always trying to please her dad, and she wanted to be the best version of herself for him. So to do this had to really weigh on her. And then you take that and you add on the issue with Kathleen and the phone call and how distraught she was and just coming out of rehab and relapsing, and now all that pressure that's on Maura, because from what I can tell, this is a close family. Like, these are tight family members. The sisters, the brother, the dad. I don't know as much about the brother, but the sisters and the dad.
I don't think I heard much about the brother at all.
He doesn't really come into it a lot, which I don't know. Families can be complex, though. So, but my point is, I think, like, going into February 9th, I think between wrecking her dad's car, obviously having, transferring to UMass, that probably is part of it as well. And then, everything with Kathleen, I think, to me, from everything I'm reading and hearing, I feel like she's on the verge of a mental break at this point. Right. Yeah, that's my thought for her as she's waking up on February 9th. Mm-hmm. And I guess she was technically planning the trip the day before or whatever, but I think that's all weighing on her as she's making her decision on what to do.
Well, when you were mentioning the dad, and I agree, I think the dad seems like a really good dad, and my dad's a really good dad, but sometimes, like, the pressure of playing sports and the pressure of doing the right thing can weigh on you as well, too. So it seems like, not that I'm not saying he put pressure on his daughters to be great, but I think there was expectations that he wanted them to do great, and so she probably felt that as well, too. So crashing that car and $10,000, which is probably like $1 million 20 years ago. So
yeah, you don't like to feel like you've let people down.
No, it's a horrible feeling. I mean, I hate it.
Think about the degree change too. She's going from chemical engineering, military,
to
nursing. So you're going from killing people to healing people. I mean, the dynamic there is huge. So that also must play like a mental.
Well, you can still kill people as a nurse.
True, I've seen that documentary.
Oh, some nurses are shocking. Some are good.
Litby or whatever her name is, Letby.
Yeah, whatever it was.
The English nurse
in England,
killing all the babies.
That was bad. Yeah.
So I think as we talk about all this, I think it starts to become a little more clear on maybe why she was leaving.
Yep.
And where she was going. Like, I think you brought it up, Nate, when you were describing some of the day of the incident and about, or maybe Greg told the story about who was the one that was talking about her making phone calls to, like, I don't know if it was a cabin, Airbnb. Oh, there was no Airbnbs back then, but wherever she was trying to book a room, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think, Greg, you mentioned that, like, when she was younger, that's where they used to go a lot. They would do a lot of hiking and camping out that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you start to see the picture that she's trying to go somewhere where she felt safe, where she felt comfortable, a place she knew, a place where she could clear her head. I think that's a lot of the reason why she was going. But my question is, and the one thing that has always perplexed me about the morning of, or leading into the day and the trip, is why she made up the lie that there was a death in the family. Does anyone have thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's always irked me. I don't know.
I think we've all faked a death in the family, haven't we, to get out of having to explain why we need to get away? Like Ferris Bueller did it for Sloane to get a day off school.
I totally did it once to get out of dishwashing once, and I feel horrible. I'm not even going to bring what I set up, but it was horrible.
I think it's probably her way of going, I think she needed some time to decompress, or she was going to somewhere familiar. Mm-hmm. She took some textbooks and stuff. I think she just I think she recognized she was at her limit.
Yep.
This is just my speculation. Obviously, it's not, she was at her limit. She needed to get away. She wanted to go somewhere familiar where she was probably financially she was pretty limited with her funds. Mm-hmm. And the best way to get a few days when nobody's asking questions or hounding you, and probably get an extension if you had an assignment due, is, and the fact that she had her books and that continual study, that implies to me as well that she wasn't planning on leaving. So, I think that was probably the easiest way, just to get a few days.
And prior to that, like you guys described earlier, I think it was that morning or the night before, she turned in her homework. If your plan is to leave permanently, like there's some theories out there, and we're going to get to somebody that's like adamant about that theory, why would you turn in homework if you plan on disappearing permanently? It doesn't make any sense. So I'm with Kate. Like, I think she wanted to get away. She was under a ton of stress, go somewhere quiet, somewhere where you can recenter, which that area of Vermont, that's it. That a remote place like that you're used to. It's not like this is the first time she's ever done it. She used to go camping and hiking, so she knows how to exist in those elements. So
Right.
it makes perfect sense to me. And I'm what I love about your guys' podcast. I've listened to a lot of podcasts on this case. Nobody's ever been as logical about why she would make up a lie about a death in the family as what you guys are, because you're absolutely right. There's not more to it than people want to make into it. She did it because it was the easiest way to make an excuse to leave that nobody would question at the time.
Yeah.
Like, no professor's going to question you about a death in the family. You let you hands off with that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
So you're absolutely right. I've always believed that there's not more to it than this is what I need to do right now so that I can get out of here for a couple days and clear my head and recenter. And if I say this, no one's going to bother me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's just there's so many crazy, weird circumstances with this case, as we all know. So that's what just makes it kind of strange and makes you kind of second guess everything. But I agree with Kate as well. I think, the death in the family, we use it as an excuse, and that's probably all it is,
Right.
But it's just there's so many weird little circumstances or
It's kind of a perfect storm of bad luck and bad timing. I think that the timing was just really so unlucky for this poor girl,
Yeah, and enough little breadcrumbs to just get everybody looking elsewhere.
Yeah, people are going to delve into everything that they can and look into everything.
That the theory of getting out and clearing her head. Have you guys heard the theory that she actually had her license suspended?
I'm not sure if I heard or read that one.
So there's a report that she was doing like 90 and a 60 and got her license suspended. I've read both that it was New Hampshire and Massachusetts, so I'm already getting conflicting reports on this. So I don't go with this theory. I'm just throwing it out there as, this is just things that are on the theory table.
Gotcha.
So the theory is she had her license suspended. When she got into the first crash, the police were like, yo, you need to take care of this.
That's what they said too. They pulled over and they're like, yo, you gotta take care of this.
They did. Yeah, he's a young cop. He's like, yo,
you're driving like a masshole.
You're drunk, you crashed, and you don't have a license. Go take care of that.
Take care of it. Yeah.
So the theory, they said, was, she was going up to New Hampshire to pay her, to get her license reinstated. However, that makes zero sense because one report I saw was in Hooksett, New Hampshire, which is nowhere near this. B, she'd probably have to go to Concord, New Hampshire to the head DMV to take care of this. Again, not near where she is.
Are we in GPS times yet? Or are we still in
No.
We're still in like MapQuest?
MapQuest.
She printed out, printed out directions on MapQuest.
Yeah, because I remember I did a road trip in 06 or 07, and that was the first time we had an iPhone, and it was like, wait, you don't need to print directions?
I had a little GPS then.
You can get like the Garmin and those.
The one that you stick on the window, like a shitty one. Yeah.
Those are when you had to. I remember I bought one when I was driving a truck. I bought one for the company's like, we need a GPS. I'm like, all right, not thinking like I could just use my phone. And then went out and bought like $180 one for the company, and they were pissed at me.
What are they called? TomToms or something? TomToms? Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a TomTom brand.
And it would fall off the suction.
Those things were shitty because they didn't update all the time either. So.
Got into problems with that for sure.
Yeah, because where she got in an accident is like, just she had to know where she was going or just not know where she was going at all because it's so random.
Yeah, because I think another thing we need to get into with this, if we're moving forward from all the stuff prior to her getting in the car and driving, like the idea that she took such a remote route, because I don't know if that's what MapQuest wanted to do. Maybe it was the most direct drive from where she was.
Knowing that area, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Like, why would she be on this Route 112 to head to wherever she was where she was going in Vermont? Theoretically, I'm assuming that's where she was headed.
Was she going to Bartlett, New Hampshire, or was she going to Burlington? That's the question.
That's the thing. We don't know that for sure either, I don't think.
That's another thing. In the MapQuest days, you make a mistake on the road, it's like it takes you God knows how long to get back on track. She could just be like, let's just take a right, quick, take a right.
Yes.
Hey, can you lick this butt for me? Yeah, take this left,
That's my thought. I'm thinking, like, how easy would it have been for her to take a wrong turn or something?
Hmm.
And now she's just trying to figure it out because, like you said, she doesn't have an iPhone at that, or I wouldn't think so at that time that she can hop on and navigate from where she's at. Not to mention there wasn't much phone service by the time she hit that location. But
It was a
I'm
flip.
thinking it could be as simple as that.
Yeah,
And there wasn't really anywhere that she could stop and ask for directions. I guess
not there.
she did have a full tank of fuel, though, didn't she? Like
She
relatively,
stopped.
she
Yeah, and
filled
I
up.
think they talked
40
about.
minutes earlier or
Yeah,
something.
there was like a gas station or something not too
Restaurants.
terribly far
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
crash site.
Right.
Yeah.
So if she was lost, I feel like maybe she would have said, "Where am I? Like, can you?"
Well, and
point
that's a good
me?"
point. What if
Yeah.
she asked somebody and they say, "Hey, just take Route 112 to wherever,"
Yep.
and
'Cause
it'll
looking
get
at the
you back
map-
on route?
Apparently, she was headed. I was looking at a map on a YouTube thing I watched, and where she was a main road going up, and where she wanted to be was over to the left. So someone might have said, like, just keep following that up, and then cut across. It
Right.
could have been, but I would have liked to think those people would have come forward and said she stopped and asked for direction. Like, there's some people not talking. You don't know if they've, and the police didn't really canvass properly in
Right,
that first period of time. So
But the other issue, if you look into this deeper, like where she was at was a big tourist area for skiing. So how many people might stop at that same gas station and ask for directions? You know what I mean? That they
Yeah.
may not even make the connection that, oh, yes,
True.
I talked to this woman,
Yeah.
that day.
yeah,
She could have been
that's true.
stubborn as well and been like, I don't want to stop for directions. I'm just going to figure it out myself. Like I would have.
Well, and if she was drinking too.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Good
But
points.
I mean, she's been up there before, so she's kind of familiar with the area.
Mhm.
So maybe she thought she could do it too. I have no idea.
It is out there. There's a lot of woodsy roads and a lot of strange ways out there in like northern New Hampshire. So
Yeah.
It looks beautiful, but scary.
all right. So you guys want to start getting into some theories of what we thought happened?
Yeah, but before we do that, like Nate had brought up witness A, right?
Miss A, yes, Karen.
So my opinion is maybe before we get into any of our personal theories, we can talk about all the theories maybe laid out there online or wherever.
Okay.
But
Yep.
before we do that, and maybe this will work into some theories that Nate knows, but I think we'd be remiss not to talk about witness A.
Yes.
And maybe any thoughts you guys have on the bus driver dude, Atwood or whatever his name is, because maybe you have thoughts on that, the cops and stuff. So yeah, I would love to talk about that a bit.
Yep. Now, Kate, did you get into Witness A at all?
Witness A is not ringing it rings the slightest of little bells, but I can't.
Okay.
You'll need to refresh my
Because-
memory.
Where your theory is,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna love Witness A.
Okay, right. Because I'm definitely headed down one path in this situation. Yeah. So
Yeah,
okay,
I got-
interesting.
Do you want to go over Witness A, Justin, or
I'll let you lay the groundwork if you want, and then we can talk about it.
okay? So, Witness A is what she's been known as for a really long time. She's since been identified as Karen McNamara. I don't know how to say Karen. Anyway, Karen M. So on the night of the crash, she was driving home from work. She passed the accident scene twice. Okay, the first pass was around 7:37. She reported seeing a local police officer, police SUV. Let's keep that in mind. SUV number 001 parked nose to nose with Maura's car. However, in the police log, it states that the responding officer is Cecil Smith, who arrived at 7:46 in a sedan, not an SUV. So that's 9 minutes earlier than the official recorded time. I don't have it in this notes, but I heard that when she was driving, she was passed by the police. And then, whatever, she kept driving, saw them nose to nose, and then was passed again by that same police car, SUV. So that one's in question because it doesn't match the official
Right.
documentation of what happened that night.
Sorry,
So
I
that-
was
that
aware
was-
of her, but I didn't know she was called Witness A. So sorry. Yes,
Oh, okay.
but that is
Great.
very interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, with any witnesses, I'm always suspicious, or I shouldn't even say suspicious. I always question a witness because we are believing them, on their word, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're trusting their memory.
Yep.
So I'm conflicted about this because Nate laid it out there. She apparently saw a police SUV 9 minutes before the first logged officer had shown up on site. And 9 minutes is a long fucking time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember correctly, Nate, she said when she went past, I don't remember what time, but she went past, she didn't see anybody.
Yeah, I can't recall that offhand. But you could be right. Yeah. And I don't know if the lights were on or the lights were off either.
Well, I think so I watched the Oxygen special, The Disappearance of Maura Murray, which is a very good series. I think it's like a 6-part series or something like that. But they kind of cover that part. And from what I remember, the witness A says that when she went by, she saw no individuals, no human beings, nobody standing around the vehicles. That not a police officer, not a female.
Mm-hmm.
So if we believe that to be true, that means Maura has already either disappeared or she ran off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. When I tell you my theory later, it's another thing I have an issue with because I don't know what to think now. Because then I wonder, is her timeline off? Did she maybe not see them until 7:46 or whatever it was? I don't know.
I think she had phone records to
I did see that.
To validate that again, but who knows what's true and what's not.
Yes, so. Who knows what's credible, because some witnesses just want to be part of the act, and they'll make stuff, whether it be the West Memphis 3, a lot of those witnesses just made stuff up because they wanted to be part of it. And
right, and I'm not saying that the local police department wasn't trying to cover something up or anything, but what I know is from that series, they were actually able to get interviews with the police department, which was the first time, I think, in all these years that someone was able to get an actual sit-down interview. Mm-hmm. And obviously, they wouldn't give you a lot of information because it's still an open case. But according to Cecil Smith, he says he was driving SUV 001. So he's claiming that she would have passed him on that road at 7:46 or whatever it was. Now, like Nate said, she would have been without phone service for a stretch of that road, and then she would have picked it back up, which I think was around some pond or something. Mm-hmm. And the timestamp was that she had picked up phone, like it pinged again at like 7:54. The problem is we now have to judge how fast was she driving? Mm-hmm. How long did she stop and look around? She may say I stopped for a minute. It might have been 3 minutes. Right. She might say she was going 45 miles an hour because she's confused. She might have been going 35 miles an hour. We don't know. And that's the thing where it's hard to poke holes in either thing because we don't really know. Only she would know.
Right.
I think Karen was either interviewed in that podcast series I listened to or was spoken to by Julie, her sister, and then she reiterated what she'd said. And she was adamant it was an SUV because she said, I drive an SUV, and I referred to it as a car.
I wave to it when I drive by. The same one.
She was definitely cognizant of the difference between the two because she said, I sometimes refer to my SUV as a car. Like I see a car with this rego, but I knew it was an SUV because it's, and she seemed pretty reliable sounding. I mean, obviously I don't know her, but she seemed very she didn't waver in her position on things.
I believe she's being truthful. The only thing I question is the timeline right? What I question.
Yeah,
There's
definitely.
also rumors that the police chief has gotten in trouble for drinking.
Yes.
So that's one of the theories is, so he was drinking, he crashed, whatever. So he was an issue of part of that. And they got that car out of there, impounded, whatever, and swapped out.
I know the dad slammed the New Hampshire police nonstop.
Yes, he did. He was all over their ass about, doing more on this case.
Yeah.
He drove the whole thing. I don't think they still didn't do nearly enough, but none of it would have happened without the dad and without the sister and people just, and other people joining the search and pushing for something to happen.
Now that Kate brought up Fred Murray again, I think this might be a good segue. So one of the theories that, and I don't mean to hijack this show. I'm
No, you're
passionate
good, man.
about this, so I
No,
apologize.
we want you to.
One of the theories, and we talked a little bit, we hinted to it earlier, was that she voluntarily disappeared. She wanted to start new. A lot of people point to she was going to Canada. She wanted to start a new life, get away from the men in her life. So I think this is a good time to talk about James Renner because he's all over this fucking theory. And I remember, and again, we can talk more about the theory and what our thoughts are, but I remember it was either on a podcast he was a guest on or something where he almost made it seem like his thoughts were anybody who believes that in that short window of time on a road like that that's not well traveled, that she could have been abducted by somebody is almost out of the realm of possibility. And I want to say to this dumb motherfucker, does he know how many women go missing in this country alone on a daily fucking basis?
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
You dumb motherfucker. Like, all he's trying to do is sell his book.
Yeah.
He's not worried about where Maura Murray is and what happened to her because he can't even accept the thought that maybe she was abducted. And again, I'm not going to show my hand yet, but I have theories on that. But I'm with Kate. Everything I've read, everything I've heard, and everything I see from Fred Murray, he's the one guy that has tried tirelessly to find his daughter and to get answers and push for more answers and more involvement in this case. And then this motherfucker has gone on record in his book to call this guy out saying that he sexually assaulted his daughter, which, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Where did that even come from?
That whole hotel thing, sleeping in the same room.
Yeah, like,
that makes no sense. Like, my kids would sleep in our room, in our bed.
Exactly.
Like, that's not weird at all. Like,
and
unless it is, but I don't think it is. Like,
right. Her sisters never claimed anything like that. They seem like a tight family.
Yeah.
So for him to say not only is she running away from the men in her life, which he doesn't even fucking know her.
Yep.
Right.
No.
And then to accuse Fred Murray after he loses his daughter of this stuff is nonsense. I have no respect for James Renner. I think he's a fucking dick.
I was watching multiple documentaries, and the first documentary I watched was by James Renner. And it was so self-serving. And first off, it started off, it didn't even talk about the case at all. It's just him driving off, like trying to talk to the neighbors, like, oh, they don't want to talk to me, they don't want to talk to me, blah, blah. Me and Michelle were like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, they haven't even explained it. Michelle hated this guy from the fucking start. Yep. And then the documentary that I liked was a female lead.
Maggie.
She did a great job. It was
she did fantastic.
She interviewed him, and yes, of course, he claimed it. The father, like a lot of the family, basically says that this guy is just spinning yarn and he's full of shit. He said that she was a narcissist. He thinks she's still alive. Like he's like certain she's still alive, and he thinks he's gonna find. He came close to finding her. Like he's such a self-serving piece of shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know anything about James Renner, but can I just say, fuck you, James Renner? You're a dick.
There you go.
I don't know if it's him or another guy, but one of them plays Wolfman up at Clark's Trading Post. Somebody who's well, you guys don't know what this is. There's this like little attraction place up in that area. It's called Clark's Trading Post, and they have these bears. That's their main thing, is these dancing bears. But they have a little train ride, and you go out in the middle of the woods, and there's this guy called the Wolfman.
Oh, Jesus.
It's like homeless-looking man that comes out and chases the train, shoots at the train. But somehow he's connected to this case somehow.
No shit.
We got James Renner, and we got James Allcock. Who are you going with? You know, it's Allcock all day.
Allcock all day.
Because I did... Because I looked at this mainly from the family's perspective, I found this one really gut-wrenching to research and really heartbreaking. And I will throw hands for Fred any day. Anyone who wants to shit on that man. I was raised by a single dad, and the father-daughter relationship is a sacred thing. And it's really heartbreaking to me that there are some people out there who would try and I know that shit happens in some families, but it is so evident that this man loves his children. The brother Curtis actually is mentioned quite a bit in this podcast. He actually left school. Well, he was about to get kicked out of school because he was spending so much time searching for his sister. And he ended up having to finish school a different pathway because the school didn't exactly help out. They could have helped him graduate, but no. This family put their life on hold They sustained suspicion and character assassinations at vigils and online. And I think they were talking about someone who wrote a book, and because they declined to participate, they were branded as difficult and suspicious. And I wonder if it was
Oh yeah, that's James Renner.
fuckface. Yeah, right.
Yeah, fuck him.
So I think their grace and refusal to engage with toxicity online is really admirable. They don't want to take time, energy, or attention away from searching for Maura or for answers and closure, whether she's alive or not. I mean, would it be great if she was, but
Yeah.
she might not be. But yeah, this guy, I mean, it's really evident that Fred has driven this entire thing and his other children.
Mm-hmm.
To even imply that just because they had a close relationship that there must be something suspicious about it. Yeah, fuck him.
Well, you want to talk about like not getting into discourse with like people online. That dude James Renner like had a lot of like threads and a lot of like Reddit posts where he like welcomed that and he welcomed all that hate and all that like speculation. So when I watched this documentary, I'm like, dude, this is all just like speculation, like this on this guy's part.
Yep.
Like he has no fucking clue. I mean, again, it's a strange case. No one knows what happened, but like this guy's just throwing it against the wall.
He's a self-serving
I feel like
dickhead.
this dude's trying to make himself the focus,
Yes. Oh,
the
100%.
focal point of this story, and that's all he's doing to me. He does not care about the family or Maura Murray, in my opinion.
No, and the family might not want to engage, but I'll tell him to go fuck himself. On their
Exactly,
behalf.
me too.
I want to say also like the mother had cancer and
Yeah.
she was very sick during like the disappearance and
Yeah.
she really wanted to go out and help more and she actually died on May 4th on the same day as Maura's birthday, which is pretty heart-wrenching
And
as
her
well.
sister Kathleen passed from the same cancer apparently as well. It's tragic. Like, and to die without answers is heartbreaking. It's awful.
Yeah, it really is. Now, obviously, there's a theory that she might have walked into the woods. This is also going to go into another theory, and again, we can talk about our own personal theories at some point, but I think about the fact that from all accounts, she seemed to be drinking while she was driving. I think we could probably deduce that from what we hear of all the alcohol she purchased, the alcohol that was found in the vehicle. So my thought is, I'm just going to start here. My thought is the fact that when she had the crash, if we believe Atwood to be true, that he asked about helping, bringing her back to his house, calling the police, and she, declined it because I think she didn't want to be involved with the police. I don't think she wanted a DUI.
Mm-hmm.
She already was in trouble with the crash before, with some
she's
of
21,
the theft
she's
and
young.
stuff. Right.
Yeah.
So I think even if she's not, out of her mind, intoxicated, if she's even been drinking a little, I think she wants to avoid police contact, and I get that.
Right.
So now the thought is, would she, even if she's intoxicated, do we think in February in New Hampshire in the woods, when it's probably plenty cold, do we think that she would have walked into the woods?
No.
I never liked that theory.
Depending how drunk you are, but I mean, if you're walking in the woods and you're freezing, or you get attacked by an animal, like I mean, there's gonna be tracks.
Right.
There's gonna be tracks. You're gonna see them lead off from the road, and if there's an animal attack, it's gonna be fucking brutal.
Yeah.
So you could be drunk and just wander off and just pass out. Like that totally happens to people where they get drunk, go outside, take a piss, and they just wander off and they fucking freeze to death. Like that's definitely that's not my personal theory. I don't think that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a possibility. That's the thing with this case. We just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If she had a head injury from sorry, I was just looking at a note, and you may have just said that, but because the airbags were deployed, if she had a mild concussion, did you say? Yeah. I'm so sorry because I completely switched off for a second. I was trying to read a note to see if I had something about that, and I didn't. But yes, I think if you are a bit concussed and a bit drunk, then you might. But I don't know.
Yeah. There's also a question about that though, with the damage to the car and the snowbank, and
it was minimal.
It didn't. It doesn't quite add up placement wise of where all those things. That's why I mentioned in the beginning about that hit and run at the school.
Yep.
Because those marks are more. This isn't my theory. I'm just saying that damage is more like a hit and run type thing than this snowbank incident.
And there weren't footprints around, were there? So
Right.
Like, yeah, right. Okay.
So
Do we have any other thoughts before we want to get to our final thoughts on this case?
there's so many theories. You got the red truck theory. You got
What about, before we go any further, what about the rag in the tailpipe?
and the rag in the tailpipe. That's a good one
That's
too.
very strange.
Does that make any
But-
sense to anybody?
No, it does. But here's what. So that special that Maggie did, they interviewed Fred.
Yeah.
Fred says he's the one that gave her that idea because supposedly he had said the Saturn was almost undrivable.
Mhm.
That's why he was getting her the new car.
Right.
In addition to the accident or whatever. So undrivable. And what I remember him stating was that there were times where, especially if she was like stopped at a stop sign or a traffic signal or whatever, there would be an incredible amount of smoke coming out of the tailpipe because of a cylinder or something that was bad. I don't remember what the reason was, but supposedly Fred said to Maggie during the interview that, oh yeah, I told her she could do that to buy herself some time in case you're in town or something, that cops wouldn't instantly see the smoking and pull you over. So whether we believe that or not, because one of the theories is she stopped somewhere, someone shoved a rag in there
Right.
to sabotage the car to try to get it to stall out or whatever. That's one of the theories.
Yeah, because the EMT on the scene is the one that found that it was there.
Right.
Kind of same topic. When they towed the car, they didn't go to the typical yard that they go to. They actually went to a private citizen's home garage and parked it in there for days.
Weird.
Fred Murray went there, and they actually had him pull the rag out of the tailpipe himself, which I always thought was kind of weird. Why they would be like, "Yeah, go ahead, pull that out."
Yeah.
That is weird.
Tampering with
That's always
evidence.
stuck out to me. But like between parking it in the, so I guess they have a rotation. They have two tow centers there, so it's a week by week thing. This was the week to have the other said tow company take it. So when that other tow truck driver found out that he didn't get that bill, there was a big thing about it. So that always felt weird too, to go on the weird police issue.
Yeah, I heard Fred talking. He talks quite a bit in this podcast, and he mentioned about the rag, and it did actually make sense. He said, I was adamant to her that do not drive this car. If you absolutely have to drive it because it's a life-threatening kind of like, I have to drive it on campus briefly or to get away from a situation or to, if it's imperative, you might be able to get away with putting a rag in it to not draw attention briefly. But he was very clear, like, it was a temporary, not a drive to Vermont or whatever where she was
it's a
headed.
far drive to go in a crappy vehicle.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it was in that sort of weather you really need to be, because I mean we don't get the snow here really, but if you're going to drive in the outback here, you have to have extra water, you have to have you have to really make sure your car's roadworthy if you're going somewhere like that. But if you're in that state of mind, you're not going to be thinking about that, I guess. But
So before, if Greg wants us to transition into our theories, before we get into that, I want to read something for you guys. I think Nate might know where I'm going.
Yep.
On March 19th, 2004, Brianna Alexandra Maitland, a 17-year-old from Montgomery, Vermont, disappeared after leaving her job at the Black Lantern Inn. The following day, her car was found backed into the side of an abandoned house about a mile from her workplace. Maitland has not been seen or heard of from since, and several days passed before she was reported missing. Now, this incident took place only 90 miles from where Maura went missing. So, roughly 5 weeks later, 90 miles away, another young female goes missing. You cannot talk about Maura Murray's disappearance without talking about Brianna Maitland's because of how close it was in proximity, both in time and location. It's fucking insane.
Right.
I don't know if you guys want to talk about, I'm just putting it out there. I'm spoilers to everybody. I want to talk about the Brianna Maitland case at some point too, because I'm almost equally fascinated with this case as I am Maura Murray, but there's so much connective tissue there with these two cases. And it may lead into a bit to my theory, but we'll get there at some point. But it's crazy. Nate, I can't remember. You knew about this case as well?
I did. I haven't deep dived into it. I'm aware of the scenario. I know that they look very similar, close proximity, very similar story. So
Right.
there's always been that sort of odd connection there. But I don't know enough about it to get in past that, you know. But.
One who was active around that time, Nate, our new metal boy.
Oh yeah, Mr. Israel.
Israel.
Yeah, he was one of the theories.
Israel Keys, who was killing in the Vermont, New Hampshire Maine area.
Yeah.
You know, and he's a. That sounds like something he would do.
Yeah,
he's a piece of shit.
Could be. You never
Is that
know.
a widely held theory? Because that seems like an obvious theory.
I think he might have even been questioned, but I don't know. I feel like they ruled him out, but I don't know why.
Okay.
Not that serial killers are honest, but a lot of the times they don't want to talk about like young girls or young boys they killed because they're embarrassed about it, but they're pretty adamant about talking and bragging about like people their age or older. Like they brag about their kills. And I'm pretty sure Israel Keys was one of those mouthpieces who, you know, talked pretty openly of what he did and what he wanted to do. I'm not saying that theory doesn't hold water, because it definitely does. And he's cruising the town around then. Like, I mean, is it a coincidence, you know, that he snatched up her and then goes over and snatches up this other girl? I don't know, because I didn't know much about this other girl either. But yeah, 90 miles away. Like, is there a serial killer in the area?
And what was the gap in time again?
It was 5 weeks.
5 weeks. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So is that where you're going, Justin? Or
yeah, let's get into our final thoughts, and we'll go back and forth of what we each think happened. And we'll start with our guest, Justin.
All right, so I've always kind of believed one thing happened, but it's like, it's not as easy as just, okay, this happened, because then you have to say, well, maybe why did it happen, or what kind of individual caused this? But that's the part where I haven't 100% landed on, and a lot of it's because of Brianna Maitland. But I truly believe in my heart that Maura was a victim of circumstance. Regardless of what Renner says, I believe that she was essentially in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, there's a reason why I could maybe spin it to a slightly different theory on the why or how it happened, but at the end of the day, what I believe happened is that she was abducted by a predator, by somebody who I believed saw a young woman in a desperate situation. And I believe that Maura, in that state of mind, yes, she was probably a bit intoxicated. I believe that she wanted to avoid the police. I believe that she wanted desperately to get to her destination. And I believe in that state, she was against her best judgment. She decided to hop in a car with an individual she did not know. And I believe that whoever that was, I'm assuming it was always the intention that this individual was grabbing a female. Most likely she, and this again is just a theory, but she could have been sexually assaulted and then murdered. She might have just been murdered. And then it goes to, so my theory is that's what happened, right? But was it just a random act? Was it an individual who has maybe committed something like this in the past? Possibly. And then I have to ask myself, do I believe that Brianna Maitland and Maura Murray was abducted and murdered by the same individual? That's the part I haven't quite landed on, but I believe there's a reasonable argument for that, because it happened 5 weeks later and it happened 90 miles away. That is not that far.
Right.
Yep.
You can make that drive in a couple, an hour and a half, however long, depends on how fast you're driving, I guess. I don't know what the speed limits are, but let's even say it's 3 hours. That's not that far.
Right.
So, again, my theory is she was abducted on that road, and I don't care if the eyewitnesses say they didn't see anybody. Like, it was dark as hell on that road. You had to believe that. If she walked even 100 yards away and a car came driving by, she could have hopped in that vehicle, and that's what I believe she did, and probably nobody would have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I believe happened. And the only thing like I said, I can't say with certainty because I'm back and forth on it, is whether I believe that hers and the Maitland case are connected, like it's the same individual that abducted both of them. I believe there's a chance that that's the case, but I think my heart of hearts tells me that these are two unique situations where both girls ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time, because how often, back to what I said earlier, how often do we hear about these tragedies of women being abducted? I'm not saying males haven't been abducted too, because others had children, all that.
Yep.
People go missing in this country and other countries across the world far too often. There's too many bad, awful individuals out there who are looking for their opportunities to grab people, and I believe that's what happened to Maura Murray, unfortunately. I wish that weren't the case, but I believe that's the case. And it's a tragedy, is what it is. And yes, it's this mystery that fascinates us and haunts me, but I believe that's what happened to Maura Murray, and it's a damn shame.
Yeah, that's a great theory. And also,
Yeah.
if she stopped and got gas or stopped and asked for directions, this person could have honed in on her and potentially could have caused the accident.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because I forgot to mention that. My theory sometimes is not maybe necessarily that predator drove down that road by chance and saw her, but I do wonder if maybe she stopped for gas and this individual saw her.
Yep.
And decided to follow behind her at a distance. But then it goes back to what Greg said. What's the chances she was going to crash? Did that individual cause the crash? That part I'm not sure of. And that's
if
why
someone's tailgating you and flashing their lights.
Yeah.
Right.
Terrorizing you. It's
yeah.
Well, it does happen.
Do you fall into the red truck theory at all with that thought?
I'll be honest with you. You may have to inform me. I don't remember a red truck theory. So why don't you talk about it?
So between 7 and 7:15, it was reported that there's a red truck with mass plates. It was noted suspicious behavior. The truck slowed down as it passed her. It stopped in the middle of the road and then sped off when she got close. The second sighting of it, when she reached the stage shop, she saw the same red truck idling in the parking lot. And when she approached the store, the truck drove off heading east, which is the same direction as the crash. They described it as an older four-wheel drive truck with wooden slat beds. And they just think it's significant because it's the same time frame, mass plates, and then it's suspicious. So, so again, like you're saying, that theory all kind of hones in together. That worked well, I think.
Yeah.
Well, what's your theory, Nate?
You want to know my theory?
I want to know your theory.
Please.
All right, we're taking it back to West Point.
Oh.
We're going with Stephen Baldwin.
Stephen Baldwin did it?
Stephen. Yeah, but he was formerly known as Stephen Finkelstein?
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. So anyways, he was involved with her kind of case on the stealing and all that. So he was involved with that. His fingerprints were found on a CD inside her car. Okay.
What CD was it? Do we know?
I don't know. So anyways,
Wu-Tang.
So in 2025, he was arrested.
Oh, it says it's the Forrest Gump soundtrack.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is. Yup. Freebirds on it. What else was there? There was
Sweet
a lot
Home
of
Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah, Sweet Home Alabama. Oh,
all along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix.
Say what you want about the movie. It's a good soundtrack.
It's a banger.
It's a good soundtrack. I'll admit it. I'll concede.
All right. So anyways, he's at West Point with her during the disciplinary hearings. He departs West Point. Why couldn't I think of it? That West Point a week after Maura leaves. Okay. There's been questions of him being photographed in some parties at UMass. His name sounds a lot like the name that she supposedly left with the night of the first crash. It's not exact, but it's like close enough where you're like, I could see somebody messing that up easily. So there's that. 2025, he gets arrested. He's sentenced 15 years in prison. 30 felony counts of animal cruelty. So what he'd do is he'd set up these things where he was going to save these dogs, and he'd take the money from the owners, and then he'd euthanize the dogs. And then keep telling them that they're doing, whatever. So he got caught for that, grand theft, bribery. Now,
does he drive a red truck?
I don't know about that part. So that's kind of interesting enough, right?
Yeah.
His mom has been missing since 2008.
What?
Whoa, it gets better. Better,
dude.
And he has 2 ex-girlfriends that have died mysteriously.
What
the
fuck? I haven't heard about this guy.
Yeah. So I don't know much more than what I'm telling you there, but I feel like those connections are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And you could rope him into, he could be in that red truck stalking
Mhm.
her. He could.
Could be following her the whole way.
There was a phone call that pinged off of a cell tower in Londonderry, New Hampshire,
Yep.
that morning. So was he coming up that way? You know what I mean? Like, there's that connection, maybe. I don't know.
So, do you have any reason to believe that he might have known about her trip in advance to be prepared to follow her?
I think he was involved with her and kind of knew what was going on. Yeah.
Okay.
His story has changed a lot. And even the girlfriends they filed reports that he's lied about a bunch of things. He's abusive. He's like this and that. So he's got a bad rap, and it just kind of fits the mold. Again, I don't know, but that's a newer theory that I heard that kind of has grasped my my attention for sure. Before that, I thought I was on your page of just, somebody up there,
Yeah.
opportunity, drive by, snatch and grab and go.
Right.
Mm.
Wow.
So
The party that she was at, apparently there's a friend who was the person who held the party. It was a small gathering, not a big party, has
Mhm.
refused to talk to the sister.
yeah, none of her friends want to talk about it, which is
There was
kinda
one
weird.
friend who was a mutual friend of Julie and Maura's,
Mhm.
and she was quite helpful and talked a lot about stuff. But the person who held the party, I think, has refused to say anything or divulge anything. And I think what happened at the party,
right.
and
Couldn't
in
remember
this sort of
names of
situation,
people.
you should probably speak up because lack of information does seem suspicious. But also, why would you not want to help this family?
Exactly. Yeah, I always thought the
It's
friend
cool.
thing was really weird. I didn't like that angle
Yeah.
as well.
It sounds like this party might have been a bit of a
Mhm. And that's the party that she leaves with this guy, quote
Yeah.
unquote. So
Ugh.
who knows?
Wow.
I knew Stephen
That's
Baldwin was a piece of shit.
yeah.
Killing animals. I hit a bird today, and
Did you?
it was devastating for me. Like I was like, and it flew down and then flew back up like right under my truck. There was nothing I could do about it.
Dude, I'm the same way. Like
I still
break,
thought about
I
it
break
like the
for
whole
birds.
time. Me
Yeah,
too. I'll break
yeah.
for anything.
I break for squirrels. Yeah, people get pissed. Like when I
Yeah.
see someone ran over an animal on the road, I get so pissed because I'm like,
Yeah.
99.9% of the time, you have time to slow down. You decide not to because you're a fucking
Yeah.
prick.
Yeah.
I hit a squirrel once.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's,
yeah. Ruins
it's
your fucking
It's so
devastating.
stupid, but it's like, I felt awful.
It instantly like lowered my feeling. Like I was just like, all of a sudden I just felt like shit. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God. Like
What did I
I
do?
just killed a bird, you know?
You want to talk about frontal lobes not being developed? I hit a dog once. It ran under my front tire and it ran off
God.
into
Oh,
a wooded area. I got out at night and went and looked for the dog in this wooded area. So that's not smart. And I probably, now that I've actually got a developed brain, this was when I was like 20, I probably wouldn't. I'd go get someone to help me look. But yeah, it's devastating. And you can't help it. Sometimes they fly. The birds here fly into your windscreen. They're crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awful. Poor thing.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot my dog was outside. So
Aw.
just back in.
Animal abuse.
She likes it outside.
Hey, Justin, with your theory too, I just wanted to say before I forget, Julie, her sister, did say that Maura was somewhat naive and very trusting.
Yes, I remember that.
Not crazy amount, but like, and I do wonder too, because if a man and a woman came along and said, "I will give you a lift,"
Oh yeah.
because some men do get women to, help them add that element of trust and safety. So that's but that's
Why
real
didn't she go with a
interesting.
bus driver?
Maybe.
I mean,
yeah.
like you said, a man and a woman is a much safer option. Maybe she was scared of him, but I've always wondered that. Why did she? Because he offered to take her.
People can be very manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these killers or bad people can be very smart and just be can talk people into a lot of things they wouldn't do usually. So
Yeah, that's so interesting, Nate. I mean, they're both. I think both those theories are very valid.
agreed. Yep.
And absolutely add up. And I'm hoping they'll press this guy while he's in. How long is he in prison for? Quite a while.
15 years, and that was I think he was sentenced in 2025, so he'll be there for a while.
Well, he sounds like a piece of shit either way. So I've watched
Exactly,
Homeland. I know what can be done. Let's get some answers out of this bastard. You can cut
Yeah.
that out if you want to, Greg, by the way.
No, I'm leaving it in. Yeah, those are two great theories that actually got me thinking about my theory. Like, it makes me want to like change my theory completely.
Yeah,
I'm like, a little from column A, a little from column B. But Kate, do you?
I was hoping we would all four have slightly different theories.
Yeah.
Makes it more fun.
Yeah, that's
What about
true.
you, Kate?
Yeah, my theory is pretty much that the police are either involved or very much hiding something or covering something up. They know what's happened or one of them has been involved in it.
Yep.
Just a couple of specific things that have occurred. I mean, I could go into pretty lengthy detail, but I don't want the episode to be like 4 hours long, so I won't. And they're not really in order. So John Smith, the ex-police officer who was a resident in the area, very knowledgeable with locals and the local area, like the geography of the area. So Fred approached him and said, can I ask you for help? Can you help me? And the police had already spoken to John, who, as an ex-police officer, would have good investigative skills and that local knowledge and would have been very useful. And they basically said to him, if you help them, we will arrest you. You will be charged. That's bullshit, because you can't charge someone for helping someone look for someone. Like that to me it makes so many alarm bells go off in my head. The fact that they were like, yeah, no, don't you do. And when Fred approached him and said, oh, can you, and they spoke to him and he said, Fred's face just dropped and he was very polite and just said, oh, I'm wondering if you can help me. And he said, look, I've been told I can't talk to you at all. I'm sorry, I'll get charged. But then he came back later and said, you know what? They can fucking charge me because I'm going to help this man. Good on him, because that's the sort of people we need. And that to me is just so suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the local neighbouring police were not informed about this, the search would have started immediately. The first 24 hours, as everyone knows, is incredibly critical. Nothing was really done. Fred turned up expecting a search to be underway and nothing was happening. He went to neighbouring police to check things. They weren't even aware that Maura was missing. So that was completely mishandled. And also it's almost like they've intentionally not used that time well, because in that first 24 hours, you can probably, it's your best chance to find anything. Mm-hmm. When a dog, I believe, was able to, or I don't know if it was a dog, I can't remember, that there was a concrete slab in a house. There was luminol lit up a cupboard or a wardrobe or something in one instance, and then there was a concrete slab. There was a concrete slab where apparently the dog or something indicated that, oh no, someone had been working and there was bones. They found, and then when they went back, there was a concrete slab. They, after lots and lots of pressure and having to push, they finally got the order to excavate, but they refused to let a forensic anthropologist be present. That is absolutely not the way that it would normally be done. You would have someone, because I mean, I think in the Des episode, I talked about how you need someone there with that knowledge to make sure that it's done properly, that evidence isn't contaminated or destroyed. And they've gone, no, we don't want an expert that can make sure that, and another pair of eyes that's not attached, that is able to say, yes, I saw this. That to me is incredibly
we want
suspicious.
The Dean Coral guy. Give us the guys who worked on the Dean Coral case and fucked everything up.
Yeah. So, I just think that there's definitely either, from what Julie said, yes, she's made real headway in the last year or so or two with police, the police that are there now, and they are finally looking at certain things. But the fact that the police would just say, oh, we looked into it. There's a whole episode in this podcast called We Looked Into It, because of the amount of times this family were told, we'll look into that, or we'll do. And it just seems that there was someone they were protecting, whether it was one of their own or whether it was someone that they knew they had to protect. Nate, was it you that mentioned that Miss Maxwell was arrested?
She was,
Not far from this.
Found in New Hampshire. So there, and there's always been reports of like certain police rings of activities, especially in the North Country. So I mean, it does track.
Yeah.
You
I
wanna
think the
go down
police know
those rabbit
something.
holes?
It'd be great if they could shake up some of those police officers that were there back in that
Yeah,
day, and someone knows something. You know, there's
yeah,
people there. Someone or multiple people know something, and I think it's. I mean, you know, you've had your fun. It's unbelievably cruel to let this family continue wondering, and I think I
mhm.
just wish someone would come forward that knows something and give these people closure.
Kate, do you think she was murdered?
I do feel that she's probably dead. Yes, I do feel she was murdered. I feel that I'm not sure under what circumstances, whether it was planned, whether it was someone she knows, or whether it was just an absolute travesty of timing and circumstance and bad luck. I think she's probably gone, but I think the
Mm,
family need to know that, yeah, they need that closure.
mhm.
Agreed.
And they need to look into this. Is it Frinkle, whatever?
Yeah. Wrinkles-
Finkelstein.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and the other interesting thing with the police there is, like, I believe another neighboring town was actually on site at the night of the incident, and
Mm.
it's documented that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I believe it was Fred or somebody went to that police department for info, the
Mm-hmm.
police chief is like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. We have no
Mm.
record of this." And they're like, "No, it's in the report that this officer blah 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 is on site, whether it was a paramedic or whether it was someone else." They also had like
Mm.
a training right there too, where they had the whole fire department was there
Mm-hmm.
and something else where they could do a good search and they
Yeah, they
didn't.
had these resources, and they could have, because they could have found. It's interesting. I mean, I do know that with neighbouring police commands, they do often not communicate very well with each other. That's not
Yeah.
unheard of.
They're in
But for
competition a lot
something
of the times.
this, yeah, something, and they also like to throw it like hot potato. Like, no, it's in your
Yep.
jurisdiction. You know, we're trying
Yep.
to avoid the work. I've seen it firsthand. But I do feel that something like this, a young female inexplicably missing,
Yeah.
much more should have been done from everyone in that area. You know
Mhm.
who they need to get onto it? Did you ever watch that documentary Don't F with Cats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't do that. I can't watch that.
It's a tough watch, but it's good
Yeah,
revenge at the end, though.
Yeah, but I know what it's about, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those people who tracked him down,
Yeah.
get them onto
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with the Murrays.
Yeah, yep. And I'm Team Murray now.
I like all those theories. I mean, they're all so
Mhm.
so viable,
Yeah.
Yeah. So my theory, I'm probably in the middle of all that. I do feel like she is passed. Like I think she was murdered, unfortunately. I don't know if it was somebody who knew what they were doing and followed her, or if it was just so random and somebody just picked her up. Because there are those people in this world that just
Mhm.
take an opportunity when they get it and just run with it.
Right.
And like hitchhiking is extremely dangerous. When I was younger, I used to hitchhike all the time, and I can't believe it. I remember I hitchhiked and I thought this guy was creepy, and I had a pencil in my hand the whole time, ready to fucking stab this guy.
John Wick, that motherfucker.
Yeah, I was ready to fucking stab this guy. But again, it happened so fast. Was this person trusting? There's just so many questions to this case. But I do love all your theories, and I probably fall somewhere in the middle of all those. I didn't know about that guy, Stephen Baldwin. I knew about Alec Baldwin. I know he could be a piece of shit a little bit sometimes as well too, allegedly. But yeah, I probably fall somewhere in between. Like I feel like she didn't want to like deal with the cops while drinking, so she either ran away, walked down the road, and somebody picked her up instantly and abducted her and brought her someplace and killed her. Unfortunately, that's was it Israel Keys? Was it a random? Was it somebody who followed her from the gas station or the restaurant when she was asking for the restaurant or asking for directions? Did they cause this accident? Like, there's so many crazy theories. I would love to obviously, so many people would love, the Murrays would love to find out what happened to their daughter. And, hopefully they question this guy who's in prison for 15 years and they get some answers. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to get an answer, but you never know. You don't want to you want to hold on to hope, because sometimes these cases do get solved 20,
Right.
30 years down the line when new evidence is brought forward. And as Kate says, if these newer cops or these cops in the present right now are being more cooperative, because we know all about these cops that are very corrupt or just very lazy, or they just don't want to do their job. And I'm not saying that about all cops, because there's plenty of good cops out there that do a great job. But it sounds like this one was messed up by the cops as well too. Whether she was abducted or not, I feel like the cops had a bad hand in this.
I agree.
Yeah, they definitely know something.
Quick question for you guys. Can you guys see my phone?
Mm-hmm.
Does this look like Maura Murray to anyone?
Kinda.
Yeah. Bit, I guess.
It looks like your wife on a tube.
This just popped up on Facebook the other day, and it's like, we found this camera on some river in New Hampshire, and there's this picture, and then there's another picture, and I'm like, my first thought was like, oh my god, that looks like Maura Murray.
Yeah. Well, I know James Renner thinks she's living in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, I don't prescribe to that at all, and I don't know when this is taken. But it took me back for a minute.
Yeah.
There's no way that she would do
I
that
have
to her
one more
family.
stupid theory that I heard.
Okay.
You're gonna love this. They think that she is actually now the governor of Massachusetts.
Jesus.
Maura Healy, same age, same facial features. So was she abducted? Is it a CIA thing where she's planted in the government? Ghislaine's in town. Boom. No. Too far.
Just for everyone who can't see us, we're all rolling our eyes. This is very much.
I'm just going off of what I saw online.
Yeah, no, I know.
I like it.
I think that the fact that there are, because the internet can be so helpful, but God, there's some absolute idiots out there. It's staggering to me how many people are just full of shit. I mean, it seems completely logical that she would just watch her family suffer for 20 years. And
Right. No,
Totally.
I don't prescribe to it. I'm just saying.
No, I know. Oh, no, you don't. You've got a brain. You're a smart man.
Hopefully this gets the Golden State Killer mention, or the Golden State Killer eyes on it, because I mean the internet sleuths, they did their job, and that guy was killing in the 70s, and he got caught in like 2018, 2000, like something like that. So I mean, there potentially could be justice down the road, hopefully. So
I hope
also
so.
the Daniel Morecambe case here, like little boy was abducted, his parents never gave up, and they got answers. I think it was 10, 15 years later. We might do an episode on that, so I'm not sure if I won't say what, but they did get answers. It took ages. They never gave up, and I'm hoping that's what happens. Yeah.
And if I can just say, if I can get on my soapbox for a minute, like, I think the moral of this story to me is, if you're in a situation where you can help another human being, and even if that means hopping in your car and sitting there until help comes, fucking do that. Like, I'm just gonna put myself in these witnesses' shoes and on this route, right? If I have a house there and someone crashes outside of my house and it's a young woman, and I'm probably gonna do something to make sure that she's safe. So, like I said, if it's cold outside, hopping in my car, driving out there. Hey, you want to sit in here until police come? If she don't, because she's not comfortable, fine. I'm gonna sit here and watch just to make sure nothing happens to you. I'm telling you, if that happened outside of my house right now tonight, that's what I would do. I would not take my eyes off of that young lady until I knew she was safe.
100%.
Yeah, and I know I'm speaking for a lot of people, and not a lot of people have that mentality. They'll pass by someone on a road that has a flat tire or whatever and not think twice about it, and it fucking sucks. I say on my show, be kind to yourself and others, and I fucking mean that. We should look out for other human beings, and there's too many fucking people that don't give a shit in this world, and it sucks. But especially when you have somebody in a very desperate or vulnerable position like she was in on that night on Route 112 in New Hampshire, like, somebody should have watched out for her, and they fucking didn't. And unfortunately, I think we've all come to the consensus. This was a tragedy where a young lady lost her life and a family lost their daughter or sister. And it didn't have to be this way, and it fucking pisses me off that more people don't do more things. And back to what everyone else said, the police should have done more.
Yep.
Whatever it is, everybody should have done their part to try to find this woman and to bring her home safe. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I don't think it ever will. Sucks.
No.
Yeah,
It's
well said.
unfortunate.
Shout out to all those locals who did tirelessly help the
Yep.
family look, because we need more people like that. You're right, Justin. Well said.
Yep. All right. Well, on that note, thank you so much for Justin from Pop Culture Reflections. Why We Love, A Slice of Pop Culture, Pop Culture Reflections. You Run podcast member, great friend, great guy. He'll help you anytime you're in need because we love him.
Mhm.
Thanks for joining us. Obviously, you're definitely welcome back anytime, and we 100% will have you back on Pizza Bones. That was awesome. That was a great conversation, I think. And I think this will be a great episode.
I just want to say again, thank you guys. Like I said, I've had a lot of passion for true crime, and a lot of it for me is I have issues with people hurting people, obviously, people hurting anybody, anything, animals included. But at the same time, this stuff is meaningful. It should be talked about. It should be covered. You should make awareness about these things. So that's why it's important to me. So not only do I love talking to the three of you, but being able to actually come on and talk about a case that I have been, just like I said, haunted and fascinated with for so many years has been, a great time, a great blessing for me. I just was able to talk about my feelings on it, which I appreciate. So thank you for the platform, because Pop Culture Reflections, we ain't doing true crime. So I appreciate it.
Not yet.
And can I just mention too the name of that podcast that
Yes, absolutely.
Maura's sister Julie did? It's actually, she's the first season of it. Basically, it's called Media Pressure, and it's a podcast that is devoted to bringing attention to unsolved cases. And the first one they did was Maura's case. So Julie has worked with the producer there and done a number of episodes. If you want a much more factual insight than what other people out there like Dickhead Renner have done, definitely listen to that and our episode, of course, which you have because you're hearing this. So Media Pressure podcast, this first season. It's only really just recently come out, and it's, I think, doing quite well. So hopefully it brings some more attention. Yeah.
Like all the pros say. I'll put that in the show notes, even though I don't know how to.
I'll do a post and do a link.
But thank you so much for listening. Up next, we have a Patreon request for the Black Dahlia. So we're pretty excited about that. And then we chose 3 serial killers, and we have Kyle Plouffe from Death and Entertainment coming on to join us on True Crime Case. And then right after that, we're going to try to scoop up Justin and have Justin right back to talk some more true crime, because he was very passionate and he was great. And thank you so much for coming on, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Pod, YouTube. And if you want to check out our Patreon for just as low as $1, you get shows just like this one up to a week early. You know we rep the You Run podcast, where you can find all our episodes and all the other awesome shows on yourunpodcast.com. Definitely do that. Definitely go check out some of the other shows. And thank you so much for listening, and have an awesome night. See you guys later.
Bye.
Slip songs